this is Professor MJ, live from beautiful Curacao. Are you ready for a good baseball pick? No, unfortunately, I am not in Curacao these days. This is a video that I recorded a few days ago, but it reminds me some good memories. Now, in today's video, I have 4 MLB picks for you for Tuesday, August 5th. But first, let's recap yesterday's action. Let's start with the 3 plays that I shared with you on YouTube. Well, we continued struggling on Mondays. Is that a coincidence or not? And then from Tuesday till Friday, we tend to perform at a high level. Now, yesterday, the 3 plays posted a 1, 2, and 1 record. I shared a 5-star play, which was over 4 runs to be scored in the first half of the Milwaukee-Atlanta game, and the bet was a push. Now, what about the premium pick? So, only the plays graded 5 stars out of 5. This time we got 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie. I think we really got screwed with the last one. Michael Soroka from the Cubs to record at least 6 strikeouts. He was pulled early due to an injury. So we were on our way to perhaps winning this bet, but unfortunately he had to leave. And we also had some positive odds on this play. Now, which among those 5 picks was the daily Lobster bet, which means the best wager across all sports? Well, the play in question was the Tyler Glasnow bet over 17.5 outs recorded. He ended up lasting 7 innings on the mound, which means he got 21 outs, so this was a winner. So in terms of the famous Lobster bets, we have now won 9 of the past 10 wagers, and since July 15, we own a stellar 15-6 record. So again, this is the best wager of the day that I am selecting and sharing with our savvy members. Now I am opening up already the next weekend's package, which means you can get the daily Lobster bet on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I've got an early bird rebate for you. So the cost of investment is the same as last weekend, $29, but if you use the following discount code, you will get $6 off, which means the investment required will only be $23. So all you need to do is follow the link below in the comments to sign up for the weekend Lobster package while entering the following promo code, August 8th. You only need to enter it when upon checkout. And by the way, this code expires tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so hurry up, my friend, if you want to boost your bankroll. Alright, so now it's time to move on with today's 4 selections in Major League Baseball. The first one concerns the Baltimore-Philadelphia game, and in this case, I am betting the Phillies to win this game straight up. Alright, so let me make it official by showing it to you on my Excel spreadsheet. So I'm taking the Phillies at -140 odds, and this is a 4-star play, so it was fairly close from being a 5-star pick. Alright, now yesterday, the Phillies trailed early, but they tallied 8 runs in the 6th inning, so that led to a 13-3 victory. If you have been following me for a while, you know where I'm going with this. Yes, the Phillies fit under the blowout #1 MLB betting strategy. The rules are quite simple. Bet any team that won its last match by a margin of at least 8 runs if they're facing the same opponent again. So since Philadelphia won yesterday by a 10-run margin, by following those rules, we must back the Phillies today. Now, as often mentioned on this channel, I don't bet my system picks blindly. I always analyze the games further. In fact, I don't bet all my system picks, not even close. So the Phillies are embroiled in a dogfight with the Mets for supremacy in the NL East division. Right now, they hold a 1.5 game lead over New York. And meanwhile, the Orioles are pretty much eliminated from playoff contention. So basically, they have a lot less motivation for this match. However, they got a mental boost from a series win over their division rivals, the Blue Jays, but Baltimore came crashing back to earth by losing 3 of their next 4 games. Now, I am a bit wary about this pick, and this is not a 5-star selection for a few reasons. First, the Phillies are a bit inconsistent. Sure, they do beat some very good clubs, but they still lost 2 out of 3 against the lowly Chicago White Sox. And also, Taijuan Walker takes the mound for Philadelphia. He owns a good 3.82 ERA, but it basically masks a poor 1.36 whip stat. Well, no, it's not a poor whip stat, but it is below average. And also in his past 3 games, Walker has given up 22 hits over 14 and 2/3 innings, which is not so good. Again, he was able to limit the damage, but he has been a bit shaky. However, Dean Kremer, his counterpart, is not trustworthy either. He owns a season ERA of 4.27, and it is worth noting that Kremer's road ERA is abysmal 5.37. And also, Philadelphia's batting lineup is much stronger than Baltimore's, and like I said, they are more motivated, they are in a dogfight for their division lead, and we are getting some pretty reasonable odds. I thought Philadelphia would be a bigger favorite than this. So for these reasons, my first selection is the Phillies to win straight up against Baltimore. Alright, up next, I also have a prediction on a game featuring 2 teams that won't be part of the playoffs. It fits the system called the Cold Teams Matchup number 2, whose rules are very simple and yet pretty effective. Bet the home team if the road club lost its past 1, 2, or 3 games, and if the home team has lost at least 4 consecutive games. Now, can you guess which team fits this system? The answer is the Washington Nationals, because in the current case, the Athletics are undergoing a 2-game losing skid, whereas Washington has dropped each of its last 5 matches. By the way, this betting strategy has posted a small loss in 2025, but it fared very well in prior years, so I'm not losing faith about the Cold Teams Matchup number 2 betting strategy. Alright, so I like the pitching matchup. So despite his 4-11 win-loss record, MacKenzie Gore owns a pretty good 3.80 ERA, and his whip statistic is around the league average. It currently sits at 1.29. Now, the 26-year-old hurler has shown good improvement compared to his prior 3 years in the big leagues. So he will be squaring off against a 10-year veteran, Luis Severino. His career is not on the rise, unlike Gore, as shown by Severino's poor 4.83 ERA this year. Granted, Severino has fared better in July, but he's been inconsistent all season long, so I will side with the team that is supported by a strong betting strategy. So that's why I am taking the Washington Nationals to halt their current 5-game losing slide. Alright, let's take a quick break by showing you some footage from my youngest son Jay from a few years ago. Alright, my third selection in MLB for August 5th is the Toronto Blue Jays to destroy the Colorado Rockies. So more precisely, I'm taking the -1.5 run line, and I have to admit that I am tempted to go with the -2.5 run line for a bigger payout. But I'll go the conservative route by taking -1.5 here. So I am basically betting on Toronto to win by a margin of at least 2 runs in this case. So again, I know that we have some low odds, but I still believe that it holds good positive value for savvy sports investors like us. Now the Jays have shocked the baseball world by holding a 3-game lead atop the AL East division right now. However, they can certainly hear the pounding footsteps of the Boston Red Sox, who are really red hot these days, and also only a brave man would write off the Yankees from a late season surge. So this will be a very intriguing race to the finish. Now, you might have noticed that Toronto also fits under the blowout number 1 betting strategy that I told you about earlier, because they smashed Colorado yesterday by a margin of at least 8 runs. Now, this betting strategy, the blowout number 1, posted a gain of 49.19 units from 2010 to 2016. Then I started tracking its performance starting in 2019, and from 2019 to 2023 we posted an 11 unit loss. Now it posted some gains last year, 6.41 units, and so far this season it holds a gain of 2.71 units, so it is surging lately. So I am regaining trust about this betting strategy, but I remain cautious with it. So speaking of cautious, this is how I feel about Toronto starter Jose Berrios. He's enjoying a good season for sure, but he faltered in July as evidenced by his 5.83 ERA during that month. But to me, that is a good spot to bounce back for Berrios against a weak offense, and although he has not pitched at Coors Field ever in his life. And also, as you all know, it can be difficult to pitch over there. By the way, Berrios has faced the Rockies twice in his career, winning both starts over 14 2/3 scoreless frames. So, but like I said, this will be his first time in Colorado. Meanwhile, Colorado will hand the ball to a reliever, Anthony Molina, to kickstart the contest. So far he has accumulated 68 1/3 career innings in the big leagues, posting an abysmal 6.85 ERA and an equally awful 1.57 whip statistic. Ouch! So it's really hard to trust Colorado in this spot. So that is my third pick, the Blue Jays to win by at least 2 runs in Colorado. And finally, my last selection, I'm going to take another stab at them. Well, I picked them to win yesterday. I got burned, but I'm going back at it by taking a second stab on the San Diego Padres to win straight up in Arizona. And this is a 3-star pick. So this means I believe the estimated ROI is around plus 3% in this case. So if San Diego really wants to catch up the Dodgers atop their division, they must beat weaker opponents like the Diamondbacks, and they must also improve their road record, which currently is 26-32. Now the Diamondbacks have won 3 straight games, and that was on the back of losing 6 consecutive games. So which version of this team are we going to see? Arizona has been inconsistent all season long, and I feel like San Diego needs this game a lot more than Arizona does. Now, Yu Darvish is starting for the Padres, and he has had a very superb career. Now, at 38 years old, his best days are clearly behind him. And the question is, how much gas does he have left in the tank? Now, an injury forced him to be sidelined until July, and this is when he made his season debut. Now, in 5 starts in 2025, he owns a dreadful 6.46 ERA, but a much more decent 1.35 whip statistic. So this means he has been just slightly worse than average. And also, it is worth noting that Darvish is coming off his best outing of the year by far against a tough Mets lineup, as he only needed 76 pitches to complete 7 scoreless frames, so hats off to Darvish. So maybe he is back on track, we will find out tonight. Now Darvish is facing Ryne Nelson, who has been rock solid all season long. However, in his last start, he showed some signs of weakness. He gave up 4 runs, although only one of them was earned, and that was at the Detroit Tigers. Now here are a few more numbers that are worth noticing. Darvish has 20 career starts against the D-backs, posting a 9-5 record, along with a pretty good 3.67 ERA. Now, what about Ryne Nelson against the Padres? He has made 10 career appearances against his divisional opponent, posting a very poor 5.03 ERA in those games. Also, this is a revenge game for the Padres, and I'm not only talking about the fact that they lost yesterday, but also because they faced Ryne Nelson on June 13, and Nelson did not allow any run to the Padres in 5 innings, so it will be payback time in the mind of the Padres. So there you go with my 4 free picks for today. The Phillies, the Nationals, and the Padres to win straight up, and I'm also taking the Blue Jays to win by a margin of at least 2 runs. And by the way, I invite you to check this video later today because I will post in the comments one of my premium picks of the day. It could be regarding MLB, the WNBA, could be a tennis bet, so check back later. More likely than not, I will post this premium pick in the comments in the late afternoon, so I cannot tell you in advance at what time exactly. It depends when I find good value wagers for today. So this is Professor MJ. A big thank you for watching this video again. I'll be looking forward to talk to you again very shortly. So subscribe to this channel if you want more MLB picks from the nerdy statistician from Quebec City in Canada. Cheers, my friend!